A couple of weeks ago, we had a reporter come into our home to learn more about our family and business. We thought the interview went really well, very similar to the dozens of interviews we had done in recent memory. We were taken back, however, when we saw the printed article, which shocked us and shocked the world by being an attack on our family and my marriage, portraying me as oppressed, with my husband being the culprit. This couldn't be further from the truth. Nothing we said in the interview implied this conclusion, which leads me to believe the angle taken was predetermined. For Daniel and I, our priority in life is God and family. Everything else comes second. The greatest day of my life was when Daniel and I were married 13 years ago. Together we have built a business from scratch. We've brought 8 children into this world and have prioritized our marriage all along the way. We are co-parents, co-CEOs, co-diaper changers, kitchen cleaners, and decision makers. We are one. And I love him more today than I did 13 years ago. We have many dreams still to accomplish. We aren't done having babies. We are excited for our new farm store to open, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for the rest of it. But for now, I'm doing what I love most, being a mother, wife, a businesswoman, a farmer, a lover.
That was quite the clapback. We are going to get into the whole article that made this creator respond in this fashion. We're also going to break down that response and we're going to talk about something else too. So, if you want to know a little bit more about the Queen of Tradwives, ooh, baby, you're in store for a treat. This girl a mess, y'all. Hi guys, welcome to my channel if you're new, and welcome back if you've been around here a while. I'm Kendra. This is Kendra Creates. This is my space where I share my life with you guys. I also talk about wild and crazy things on the internet. So if that stuff sounds good to you, then make sure you are subscribed to my channel. Also, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up while you are at it. So today we are going to be talking about a very popular creator on the app TikTok called Ballerina Farm. Her name is Daniel Neeleman. Yeah. So this article came out a little while ago, and I've been wanting to talk about this. And I waited because you guys, I don't know if you know, but I'm in the process of recovering from surgery, blah, 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 whatever. I'm here now. I'm going to talk about it. It's going to be good. Okay. So she had this interview. An interviewer came into her home. She didn't like how it looked, and she made that response on TikTok. So we're going to get into that interview and some points that I kind of gleaned from it. We're going to talk about some things a little bit more in depth, some things just a little bit, just a little short snippet, a little short little summary. Okay. So one of the first things that I got from the article at the very beginning, she talks about how Ballerina Farm, I'll just call her Ballerina Farm, whatever. That's her name on TikTok. Anyways, she talked about her and how she competed in a beauty pageant 12 days postpartum. I thought this was craziness, as I'm sure any woman that has had a child would. I mean, you want that time to bond with your child, and your body is going through all kind of changes and doing all kind of little weird things, and you may not feel as confident or as prepared to compete in a beauty pageant. But I think this gives us a depth into her mindset, and the expectations that have been placed upon her. Perhaps that is by her husband or her community or just the people that she surrounds herself with. So, why on earth would you decide to have a child in the midst of knowing you have to compete in a beauty pageant? Or why would you still continue to compete if you are with child? I don't know. I feel it's craziness, but you guys comment below and tell me what you think about that. And why do you think that she decided to go through with it? Because further down in the article, I'm not going to really talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it now since it's come up. they don't really plan their pregnancies. They said that they let that decision up, they leave that decision up to God. So if God wants to bless them with another child, then that's how it goes. And she said that they've been having children kind of like every 9 months or so, something like that. She gets pregnant like every 9 months or so, something like that. She made the statement, and I just found that more craziness. And people can do whatever the hell they want to do. Don't get me wrong. However, your body is still healing. Like all the things that I read when I first decided to get pregnant and have a child and have a family, and I thought about having more children. I'm not, but it was just a thought in my mind. They said like 2 years. That's what I've heard. 2 years, you know? And like I said, people can do whatever the hell they want to do. It's their body, it's their choice. If they want to expand their family, if they don't, whatever. But it's your body, and you have to make that decision on what you're going to do with your body. And speaking from a traditional tradwife point of view, you are also the one that's mainly responsible for these kids. So then the interviewer asks her about the whole title of tradwife. Like her husband Daniel chimes in and he's like, "Oh, tradwife, trad dad, whatever, so be it." So he's kind of embracing that title or whatever. And she says, she thinks otherwise. I don't necessarily identify with it. She says, because we are traditional in the sense that it's a man and a woman. We have children, but I do feel like we're paving a lot of paths that haven't been paved before. That is the biggest paradox in selling the life of a stay at home mother. Neeleman and the other tradwives have created high earning jobs. They are being paid to act out a fantasy. So for me to have the label of a traditional woman, she continued cautiously, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I identify with that. So I find this so funny how she does all of these traditional things and she's in this traditional role and she doesn't identify with that title. And so the interviewer talks about how it's kind of like an odd situation because yes, you are traditional in the sense that you have a lot of kids, you don't work like a 9 to 5 job, you stay at home with said kids and this and that and that and this, you cook, you clean, whatever, but you're still like making a lot of money and you're contributing to the household in like a monetary way. And it's kind of funny how she doesn't want to identify with that title, but I don't think that it's for the reasons that the interviewer says. I just think it's because she wants to be seen in a certain light by the public as not being that. And what I mean by that is I feel like she wants to be something different, something special. Don't put me in this box. I'm not like the other girls, which I find so weird because she is just like the other girls. She has this perfect appearance. She has this perfect husband, this perfect life. They have money, like, and she's doing everything that the traditional woman does. She cooks, she cleans, she takes care of the kids, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that, you know? And when younger girls, I probably wouldn't say girls my age, women my age, they're looking up to that and they're like, oh, I want to have a family and I want to be this mom and I want to do this and I want to do that. Not knowing that it's just an internet persona. Because when you are in the real world and you're being that stay at home mom, it's not as cute, especially if you don't have as much money as these folks, because money makes the world go round and it enables people to do things that other people wouldn't necessarily be able to do. Because she has some very expensive like appliances, from what I hear is like a very expensive, like, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000, $4,000 stove or something. I don't know, y'all leave it in the comments. Y'all tell me how much that stove was. So I just think it's kind of weird that she's not embracing that title, because if I was something that I appeared to be, I would embrace that title and I would be like, yeah, I am tradwife. Hear me roar. so funny in the interview. I'm going to read it word for word. So the interviewer talks about like feminism. She says, "Is she a feminist?" And so Ballerina Farm's response is, "I feel like I'm a feminist." She stops herself. There's so many different ways you could take that word. I don't even know what feminism means anymore. She absolutely feels as though she has become politicized by other people. We try so hard to be neutral and be ourselves, and people would put a label on everything. This is just our normal life. And I found that so funny. She literally had to stop herself because she already know that that word is something else. Because people have so many definitions of femini- feminism, which I totally agree with her on. There's like so many definitions and what it means to different people and everything. And I feel like she thinks she's a feminist in the um simple terms of, I'm a woman, I have the right to make my own choices, in which it is wonderful that women do have the right to make their own choices. If they want to stay at home with the kids, they can do that. If they want to go to work, they can do that. If they don't want to have kids, they can do that. If they want to have kids and work, they can do that. They have the choice to be and to do what they want to do. And while we're talking about choices, she made a lot of difficult choices. You know, she gave up her dream of being a ballerina because she went to Juilliard, and we're going to talk about that shortly. But she gave that up to get married, to have kids, and to go do this farm work, which I think is so funny because she's not working in the traditional sense of, I'm going to go and do a 9 to 5, or I'm going to go be a ballerina and, you know, go dance and do shows or whatever. But I'm going to do work as in, I am going to birth kids. I'm going to raise kids. I'm going to cook all my meals from scratch. Yes, she does. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to clean up. And I'm also going to do work on this farm. I'm going to go mess around with these animals and milk the cows, and she's on the internet, so she's creating content. I'm going to do all of these things. And to be honest with you, I don't even really know what stake this woman has in this business, because she talks about like, oh, she's the co-business owner, CEO, whatever she said in her Clapback video. Um, but I don't really know what stake she really has in it, because these folks are Mormon. I don't know a lot about the religion. I'm not going to even front about that, and how that works with businesses and who's in what person's name and how does that work according to the law, and if they got a prenuptial agreement and blah blah blah. And this guy is rich. We're going to talk about that too. So much to talk about. But yeah, so I don't even know what stake she has in all of this, and she is doing so much labor, physical labor. We're not even talking about all the emotional labor that she's doing with these kids and with these businesses and everything. That's so much to take on your plate. It would have been so much easier for her to be a ballerina. I wanted to talk about 3 quick things just in quick succession, because I didn't want to really get too much into them. But they were some things that I read, you know, from the article. And of course, I'm going to link the article below so you can read it yourself. So one thing she talks about is they're going out on the farm and looking around and stuff, and they pass by a 15-seater bus. And the interviewer asks them, do they plan to fill that bus up with the kids? And Daniel is like, yeah. And she makes a statement and she says, we're old and worn out. We'll see. And I find it so funny how he was just like, yeah, no problem, for sure. And she's like, she has a little bit of trepidation about doing that because it's her freaking body. You have to carry these kids, you have to push them out, and you have to care for them. They already have, what is it, 8 kids? They already, like, how many more do you need, y'all? I don't know. Like, once again, you can do whatever you want to do with your body. You can have as many kids as you want or as little kids as you want. Yes. But what favors is that doing for you? with your physical health, with your mental health, with your emotional health. We're going to get into that. And then they talk about how they met. So this guy's dad owns like an airline, and they had been introduced like through a basketball game or something. And he was trying to get with her, but she really wasn't feeling him like that. And he pulled some strings to get onto a flight with her that she had like told him about or something. I call it a little stalkerish. It's giving stalker vibes just a little bit. I mean, like, why did you do that? Because that would force her to have conversation with you. If you are on a flight for I don't know how many hours, let's just say 2-3 hours, and you're sitting beside her, you have no choice but to talk to her. And this is how you weasel your way into someone's life. I don't like it. And then she talked about her childbirth experience. She has all her kids at home except for one. That was a baby that was a couple of weeks overdue. So they had to go to the hospital, and she was a bigger baby. And she talks about her childbirth experience. She says it was amazing because she got to get an epidural. And the interviewer asked her, like, why do you decide to have natural childbirth? And she said, I don't know. I just didn't think that I wanted to get anything. And I just feel it's so freaking weird because those natural mamas, the granola moms, crunchy moms, whatever you want to call them, they are strong in their convictions. They know why they don't want any drugs. They know why they want to have the kids at home. They wouldn't have had an epidural, even if they had to have that kid in the hospital. But she decided that she wanted to do it, and she called that experience amazing. But it was the only childbirth experience that the husband wasn't around for. So you do with that as you may. I got one kid. I had my baby in the hospital. I did not have drugs though. It wasn't a bad experience. I wouldn't say it was amazing, but that's neither here nor there. But I knew why, and I was strong in my convictions of why I necessarily didn't want a medicated birth. So I think this lends to the fact that maybe some people thought that it was not necessarily her decision to be medicated or not. So much drama, so much tea. But we're going to move on to the next point. So the interviewer goes on to ask them about their marriage and everything, like, during the dating phase or whatever. And Ballerina Farm says, back then I thought we should date for a year, before we got married, so I could finish school and whatever. And Daniel was like, it's not going to work. We got to get married now. After a month, they were engaged. 2 months after that, they were married. Moving into an apartment Daniel rented on the Upper West Side. And 3 months after that, she was pregnant. The first Juilliard undergraduate to be expecting in modern history. And I don't see that as an accomplishment. I see that as like he wore that lady down to the point where she was like, okay, yeah, let's just do it, whatever. Like, I like you. Let's go ahead and get married. Let's go ahead this baby. Let's do this. Like, forget my dreams. Like, let's just do this. And also, I'm pretty sure she was in love. So she was like, okay, whatever. Let's go along. Let's do it. And I find it so crazy how this is kind of like the running theme with the trad wives, the more traditional ladies or whatever, is that they have something going on in their lives. Well, some of them don't because they're really young. And then they decide to do something else based upon their husband's decisions. And I feel like they are the ones that are like always sacrificing. And what is the man really giving up? We're going to talk about that in the next clip, but she gave up her dreams of being a ballerina and, going to this amazing prestigious school. And he couldn't even wait for her to finish school before he married her and knocked her up. And like I said, it takes two to tango now. She's not an innocent victim in all of this. She's definitely a willing participant. Look at that clapback. We're going to talk about that clapback. But man, you just have to think about, like, when you get with someone, what are their motives? Like, is it all about them and the things that they want? Or are they willing to kind of sacrifice and compromise to sometimes do the things that you want to do? It's never like a big deal. She's gonna be there. They're gonna be there. She doesn't have that much longer left in school. You guys can still get married, but not have a baby. But, people are gonna people and they're gonna do whatever it is that they want to do. Now we're talking about making sacrifices. So the interviewer says, I look at the vastness and don't totally agree. Daniel wanted to live in the great Western wilds, so they did. He wanted to farm, so they do. He likes date nights once a week, so they go. And they have a babysitter on those nights. He didn't want nannies in the house, so there aren't any. The only space earmarked to be her own is a small barn she wanted to convert into a ballet studio, and it ended up becoming the kids' school room. So, this is what the interviewer surmised from speaking with them and learning more about them and everything. And so it seems as though the lady in the house has given up a lot to do this. And this was not necessarily her dream. But we have to look at it from that standpoint of this is free will. She's doing this on her own, you know? And in that clapback, she talks about these things. We're going to get into that in 1 minute, I promise y'all. Yeah, Daniel might be making most of the decisions, and he might be the catalyst of how things are going to go and how they're going to work. But she's a grown woman. She has a mind of her own, and she can say yes or no. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, she's coerced into this, or, she's oppression, that darn religion, or whatever you want to blame it on. But she is for sure a willing participant, whether she's brainwashed or whatever, because, and if she is, maybe we'll see it in years and years to come. She'll come out and talk about it, write a book or whatever. I don't know, whatever. Or maybe the kids will tell about it. I don't know. But we also have to look at it from that standpoint too. We really do. Because she can stop, slow down, get extra help, get this, get that. They're rich. So if there was ever a time that things wanted to change, I'm sure she could. And if she couldn't, she's literally a popular internet person and she can always send out a white flag SOS to get some help. Okay, and then the interviewer says they have a cleaner but no childcare. Ballerina Farm does all the food, shopping, kids in tow, and cooks from scratch. Despite the more traditional aspects of their relationship, Daniel is a hands-on father, taking the kids out to the farm and doing all the laundry. The children appear to look after each other quite well, too. There are so many, they seem to have become an almost self-sustaining entity. Still, Daniel says sometimes his wife gets so ill from exhaustion that she can't get out of bed for a week. That's sad. That's really sad. But you still want to have more kids, but you can't get out of bed for a week. I don't know like what world they live in, but like how can you be of service to the current kids you have now when you are down for a week? And not because like, oh, I got a cold or whatever. No, it's of your own doing because you are juggling all of these household responsibilities with kids and with business responsibilities. And then the interviewer talked about how her kids like are a self-sustaining entity. And this is the issue that I have when families have a lot of kids. A lot of times they have too much responsibility, honestly. And a lot of the responsibility falls on the older kids to take care of the younger kids. And we have to do this and we have to do that. And I have to look after. And it's just like, why are we parentifying children? Like, I don't know. Why are we doing that? And like, how much attention and care can you give to that many kids? I just think it's very unfair for children when they have so many siblings and it's only two parents. And then you have one parent that goes down for a week at a time when they're so freaking exhausted because they don't have any childcare help. I mean, yeah. They have a cleaner, she says, but no childcare. Yeah. And then she got to do food shopping with all them kids. Oh my God, I couldn't imagine. I have one and it's bananas crazy. And I'm like, I'm not going to the store with him. And they talk about how he's a hands-on father and he takes the kids out on the farm. In other words, he's the fun dad. He go plays with them and do laundry. Laundry? Don't get me started. But yeah, in other words, he goes and plays with them. That's what I got from that. But yeah, whatever. So that's really all I wanted to talk about within this article. I'd love to hear what you guys have to think about this. And if you read the article on your own, what is your whole opinion about it? Or if something stuck out to you that you found quite interesting. Like I said, I don't want to judge people's ways of life, even though in her Clapback video, basically she said that's what we were doing. I really don't want to do that. But then I also want to just highlight about the mark that you're having on this generation of younger girls and what they're seeing. Okay, because this article kind of exposes what you have to go through to do this. You're going to be exhausted. A lot of times you are going to be at the whim of your spouse in decision making. You're going to have to sacrifice a lot. You're going to have to sacrifice your dreams and what you want to do. And it's not all sunshines, rainbows, and roses. Like, it gets tough and it's not easy. And these people got money and it's still hard on her. You know, they have the money to hire a cleaner. A lot of people don't. So that's extra work that they have to do, you know? So I think it needs to be dissected, examined, and looked at as far as like what it really boils down to. And also, what is your backup plan if the marriage does not work out? Or if hubby passes away? What happens then? Like, they're rich, so she'll be good. But what about regular 9 to 5 worker person or people that are just like, oh, I just want to have all these kids because they're a gift from God, but you're not financially planning for all those kids? And what kind of quality of life will those kids have? Are they do they have a lot of responsibility like adults? Do they get to just be kids? You know, and it's not all about materialism, but you need to be able to feed and clothe your kids. And I would even go so far as you need to give them experiences and do things with them and be able to go beyond the basics so that they can have a enjoyable life filled with enriching activities so that they can grow as a human being. But hell, what do I know? We're going to talk about the clapback, y'all. I would have never thought that she would have actually responded in about this article. I wouldn't have thought. But I feel like her response was so carefully worded that it within itself sent a message. Okay. So she talks about how this article or whatever created an attack on her marriage and family. And I feel like this is something that a lot of people on the far right, and I'm not trying to bring politics into this, but just hear me out. This is a lot of times what people on the far right and also conservative people, and you could probably put her into that little bucket because she is religious and she talks about God a lot and she's a Mormon and she's very traditional. But I don't know her political standings or leanings or whatever. I can just only assume they use this a lot. They use this talking point a lot. And I feel like this is activating her base. This is getting her fans and her followers riled up and interested in her and like, oh yeah, she's firing back. She's a family woman and she's a mother and she's all about marriage and family. Yes, yes, that's right. You go, queen. We love you. We stand you. So I feel like it was very purposeful, very purposeful. Then she talks about that this whole little thing made her look like a little oppressed woman. And now this is her also getting her base riled up. And for those that may be a little bit more feminist leaning, saying how I'm not oppressed because I'm doing what I want to do, whether that is I am working a 9 to 5 or I'm staying at home with my kids. Y'all are attacking me because I am actually doing what I want to do, and I'm really an example of feminism. And I like the little word oppression. It always gets people very fired up. And then she said she goes on to feel like this whole little interview was a setup. I don't think so. I personally feel like the interviewer asked the right questions, they made the right observations, they surmised in a way of what they personally got from it. And everyone can look at things in a different way, but that was the interviewer's take on everything. And honestly, if I was seeing some of this stuff, I probably would have felt the same way. And let me tell you why. It's because I've been married before. I've also been a victim of DV before. I have been in traumatic situations, horrible relationships. I have been a trad wife before, so I know what it looks like when someone is making a lot of sacrifices for the quote unquote good of the family, but it's really you making all those sacrifices. In other words, I can sniff out the BS, and I'm sure this interviewer sniffed out that BS. But one thing I did notice, she said it was a setup, it was an attack on the family. They made her out to be oppressed, but she didn't address any of the points that the interviewer made. I would love to have saw that. Like, yeah, let's go line by line. Let's talk about each of these things that the interviewer pointed out. Let's debunk some of these myths. She can't because she knows it's true, but it's fine. She has to stand as a united front with her husband and her family, and she has to make these slightly politicized statements about how she comes across. And I get it. She got a brand, she got a business, she need to make that cash. But also I do think she feels attacked. I do. I really do. Because like I told you guys, this lady is a willing participant in all it is. She really is. And that's not to say that it's not such a wonderful idea or she might, live to regret it, but it is what it is. And then she also goes on and talks about what's important to her is God and family. And the greatest day of her life was being married. Girl, it was it really? Why? Why not your first child becoming a mother, getting into Juliard, being strong and powerful and doing a beauty pageant, and postpartum. I don't know, girl, but whatever. I really want to do a video on decentering men because she is so male centered. It's crazy, but I get it. You met him when you were young. You had kids when you were young. Your life revolves around him and those kids. And that's kind of really all you know at this point in your life. It's fine. Whatever. And then she said that they're co-diaper changers. Y'all believe he be changing diapers? Do y'all? Comment below. I want to hear it. Do you believe he be changing diapers? I think you change them every now and then. But I also believe that the majority of the parenting and the parental responsibilities and childcare falls on her. And it usually does for most marriages, relationships, whatever. I don't care what anyone says. It does. We can talk about it in the comment section. Don't fight with me, fight with your mama. But anyways, that's pretty much all I had to say about this. Oh, yeah. And the last thing I want to talk about was another little thing that they uncovered. I know this video is getting long, but I thought it was crazy. I'm going to put the TikTok here so you guys can look at it. It's bananas, craziness, and then we're going to talk about it.
It was my birthday present from Daniel. Hoping their tickets to Greece.
Where's it from?
I don't know, the boys took it off.
I took it off.
It's from Ukraine.
So, plane tickets? Ooh, a hat I can wear in Greece.
What's that a hat?
It's not.
Oh, my egg apron!
Eggs in it.
Great, now you can gather eggs.
So cute. It's really cute. It's a
Yeah.
cute one.
Yeah, that's the best. You're welcome.
Thanks, honey.
Not for a long time.
I just found it crazy how you can birth all of these kids and you can do all of these things and be superwoman, and you still don't get what you want for your birthday. Was it her birthday? Was it anniversary? Anyways, for an important occasion. He gave her an egg apron. She really, really wanted to go to Greece. That's what she really, really wanted to do. And he gave her a freaking egg apron. Nothing wrong with that. Giving an egg apron. However, why couldn't he just give her what she wanted? I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. It's not a money thing. It's a maybe like, I don't like you thing, maybe. I'm not gonna get into that. But there's no way that your partner knows what you want for this very important milestone. They get you a gift, but they don't give you what you want. Something that you've been excited about, something that you've been talking about, something that you've been wanting, but they claim to love you and care about you so much and honor you. And it's nothing more important than God and family. How important is family if the matriarch isn't taken care of? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. Make sure you continue to spread kindness and a word full of hate. I will see you on the next one. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Bye-bye.